Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about an often forgotten area of the core. Once again, to remind you all, this is not your core. I know a lot of people, when they refer to core, they're usually referring to your abdominal muscles. The abdominal muscles is just simply part of the core. Your whole torso is really your core. And again, I think an often area that's just forgotten about is the thoracic spine. And especially in today's society, where so many of us tend to sit for long periods of time, we've developed sort of this slouch where the thoracic spine is in this flexed posture. And this is a real kind of critical area to allow us to move correctly. So again, part of what when we talk about the core, we have to remember it's this whole area of the torso that really is the core. And yes, the abdominal muscles are part of that, but I think a very important area is that thoracic spine. And so simply put, we're better off being in a better sort of upright, taller posture, or what we call thoracic extension. It means that we just simply need to remember to make sure that we can flatten that upper back, stand or sit up tall. This is an area that can really affect everything. Everything from neck, shoulder problems, pain, injuries, down to your lower back, even hips and knees. If your thoracic spine is in this position, your body just will simply have to compensate for that, and it won't work well. So to simply, put it out there simply, really just it's a matter of just standing up straight and tall. But that's actually a lot harder for some people than you might realize. So I'll show you a couple of exercises that will help to kind of get you aware of that thoracic spine, from the most basic version of a thoracic exercise to maybe a little bit more advanced versions of those exercises. So the simplest and most basic exercise to help you start to become more aware and develop better control of the thoracic spine is just simply lay down on the floor on your back and practice extending the thoracic spine or lifting your chest. The thing to be careful of, especially for people who tend to have a tighter lower back, remember, we want to isolate the extension of the thoracic spine without extension of the lower back or the lumbar spine. So if I do it incorrectly, and this is really common for people who really don't have much awareness of that thoracic spine, or again, tend to have tightness in that lumbar spine. So what you want to be aware of and maybe avoid is when you're trying to lift that chest and flatten that thoracic spine is arching that lower back, which would look like this. And you can see I'm creating a giant gap under my lower back. So yes, I am increasing that thoracic extension and lifting my chest, but it's at the expense or with a lot of help from that lower back. So ideally, we want to be able to separate those two. Remember, there should be a slight little gap between your lower back and the floor. That's a neutral spinal position. From there, I'm going to then just lift my chest, extend my thoracic spine, but try not to allow my lower back to lift away from the floor from its current position. You can see it's a lot more subtle that way. But as I do that, my shoulders come back into the floor, my neck lengthens, and I can feel the muscles in that upper back engaging to extend that thoracic spine. So this would be the first step. I know it seems silly, but for someone who doesn't have that awareness or that control, this can actually be a very challenging exercise. If you're able to master laying on your back and extending the thoracic spine or lifting your chest, the next step would be to start practicing that same technique in standing or sitting. So basically, you're just going to stand and practice lifting that chest or extending the thoracic spine. And remember, just like lying on the floor, you should be able to do that without arching that lower back. So what you don't want to do is lift the chest and at the same time, really arch that lower back. You can see as I do that, I'm sort of sticking my rear end out and creating a global arch of that spine. You want to be able to separate the two. There should be a slight, subtle inward curve at that lower back, but I don't want that to move. I just want to lift my chest or extend that thoracic spine. So again, you're practicing the ability to separate the two. There are lots of exercises that are meant to strengthen the upper back. But I think the importance to understand is that these exercises, without an awareness of being able to control that thoracic spine, won't necessarily result in better strength and control of that thoracic spine just in and of themselves. What I mean by that is, oftentimes when I see people do exercises such as a row, and it could be any kind of a row. I'm going to demonstrate using the TRX to do the row, but it could be using a machine to do a row. It could be doing a bent over row. A lot of times what I'm seeing is people, once again, are not able to maintain that good thoracic position. So they're in this position, and as they're doing the exercise, you can kind of see how my shoulders are sort of falling forward and my neck is kind of in an odd angle. I feel a lot of tension in my neck. Doing the exercise this way will not strengthen that upper back. If I can start off by using my thoracic extension, now I can use the muscles of the thoracic spine in order to pull me up, which will further enhance my control of that region and also develop strength. And you can see it looks very different here at the top where my shoulders are back, my neck is in a more elongated position, and there's really no tension on my neck whatsoever. It feels nice and loose as I'm doing the exercise. And that's simply because I'm able to kind of create more of that tension in that upper back or that thoracic spine. One of my favorite exercises for strengthening the upper back and thoracic spine is the reverse fly. Once again, the importance of this exercise starts with being able to get into a thoracic extension and control that thoracic extension through the exercise. Once again, if you're starting the exercise in a poor postural position, not only are you not going to achieve that better thoracic control and strength, but you're also risking injury to the neck and shoulder. So again, to start off with, we're going to get into a good neutral thoracic spine position. My chest is up, shoulders are back. I'm starting with my hands straight out in front of me, keeping my elbows straight. And as I bring my arms out, I'm just going to bring my arms in line with my torso. This is another great exercise to help to continue to strengthen that thoracic spine, develop that better control. You'll see that if I fall out of that thoracic position, the exercise will look very different, mainly at the shoulders and neck. As I bring my arms back, once again, my shoulders start to fall forward. There's a lot more tension in my neck. Getting out of that position, the shoulders fall back, neck lengthens, and I've reduced all of that tension on my neck. It's a good way to see how important that thoracic spine is in reducing stress and tension at both the neck and the shoulders.